I recently asked you if you had any questions that you wanted to ask me, and you didn't disappoint. In fact, I got so many responses, I'm actually going to split this into 4 different parts. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first question comes from Kyle via Facebook, and he asks, does death scare you? And the kind of stock answer I give to this is that death doesn't scare me in and of itself. The kind of method of dispatch does. I don't want to, as I think most people, I would like to kind of, when it is my time to go, I'd like to die peacefully in my sleep. My dad died of cancer, and that was long and drawn out. My mum dropped dead suddenly. I wouldn't want to go any of those ways particularly. I'd like to be, when it comes to my time, I'd kind of like to be relaxed, peaceful, surrounded by family and friends, and just slowly drift off. So I think death itself, the concept of death, the concept of not being here anymore, in itself doesn't scare me. It's more the method of which I leave the world. However, as I get older and as I think about it more, I do want to be around. I do want to be here. I want to be here and spend the time with my wife and my children and my friends and have experiences. So I don't particularly want to die, but it's inevitable. It's going to happen to us all. And I think, we've got to deal with it the way it comes. I've been very fortunate. I've not had many serious illnesses in my life. I got COVID quite badly. I was hospitalized with that. And I didn't think I was going to die then. I think members of my family did. So I think it was scarier for those. But no, I don't think on the whole, the concept of death doesn't particularly scare me. And I've had a good life, had a fulfilling life, and I think that is my answer to that one. And the next one, let's just do this. Let's just chuck them aside casually. The next one comes from AJ from Ways to Human. You can catch me on AJ's channel, Ways to Human, and I've done some great talks on there. And this one comes via TikTok. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? And why? I would live, I don't even have to think about this, I would live in the Highlands of Scotland. The Highlands of Scotland is, so I go there a lot. I've been there a lot throughout my life. It's a place where I'm comfortable. It's a place where I'm at peace. And I would definitely live there. It would come at a cost. It would come of the cost of, not having, I live in a big city at the moment, not having the amenities, not having the access to hospitals and things like that. And things like internet, which I enjoy here. I've got quite good internet connection here. I'd probably not have that. There are costs to that, but without a doubt, that is the place I would go. And so I'd do it tomorrow. If I had the means to do it, I would do it tomorrow. I'd absolutely love to go there and live out the rest of my life. So yeah, that is the place I would go, the Highlands of Scotland. And just to clarify, there are 2 sets of Highlands to Scotland for you who don't know. There are the touristy bits, that bit between kind of Perth and Inverness. That's the touristy bit where all the kind of mountains and coach parties and that go, Loch Ness, all that stuff. The Cairngorm mountain ranges, all that good stuff. Glencoe is in that little bit. And then past Inverness, you get what I call the real Highlands, which are desolate. There's a lot of single track roads up there for miles and miles and miles. I love that part of it. The West Highlands is somewhere I've spent a lot of time throughout my life, and it's somewhere I absolutely adore. So yeah, Highlands of Scotland. That's that one. This one comes from Jen via email, who asks, how did you begin talking to people on YouTube? This is an interesting question. I actually began talking to people on YouTube. I was very scared of doing it at first, and I asked a couple of people who I knew whether I should do it. And, excuse me, and they said, yeah, go for it. It's definitely something you should go for. So I didn't have any equipment. I didn't know what I was doing, and I actually started a podcast with pretty much the same time as I started my own channel, Skeptic Takeout, with a guy called Richard Gill and Laura McGee. We started the Skeptic Hangout podcast, and they were two other new tubers like me who didn't really know what they were doing. And they really, really inspired me because they came out a couple of months before I did, and with my stuff, I'd been thinking about it, and then I saw these two great people who were talking on the internet, and it was obvious that they didn't have the equipment and they didn't have the experience, but they'd just gone out and done it, and that really, really inspired me to take that first step. And I reached out to both of them. We started a podcast together, which lasted nearly 100 episodes. And, big shout out to Richard Gill, Laura McGee. They're really the ones who got me to talking to people on YouTube to begin with. I'd had many, many years of talking to people in person before that. I wasn't new to the ball game, if you like. I was just new to the court that we were playing on. So, yeah, Richard Gill, Laura McGee, definitely responsible for me being here today. So if you don't like me, blame them. Will H, also via email, if you could talk to any famous skeptic, who would it be and why? And same for a religious person. I think skeptic-wise, it'd have to be Carl Sagan, because I like cosmology as well, just as someone who's a layperson who's interested in that subject. And of course, he wrote the book on skepticism, as far as I'm concerned, and yeah, it would absolutely be Carl Sagan. There are other people who are out there who are brilliant, don't get me wrong, but Carl Sagan is really, really the guy who it was the inspiration behind me writing my own book on skepticism as well. I very much wanted to go down the same kind of route. It was the inspiration behind that. So definitely Carl Sagan from a skeptic point of view. A religious person, I would like to talk to someone like Luke Timothy Johnson. He's a biblical scholar. He is of the school that thinks that the gospel authors who attributed to the writing the gospel, Mark, Matthew, Luke and John, actually wrote them. But the reason I like Luke Timothy Johnson, although he's, I don't agree with him, but the reason I really like him is that when he's teaching, he's done a couple of these things, these courses for the teaching company, and when he's teaching, he will say that the majority of scholars believe that Mark, Matthew, Luke and John were written, way down the line. They were attributed to those guys, and those weren't actually the authors. And he says, I don't agree with that. That's not my position, but I am going to teach that because that is the consensus scholarly opinion, and that is the mark of a really, really, really good scholar. And that is why I think I'd like to talk to Luke Timothy Johnson. I'd like to first of all, get his opinions on why he thinks what he thinks, but also how he feels about teaching something he doesn't agree with, and whether he'd like to not do that so much when he's giving public lectures and stuff. I think that'd be a really good conversation. So I think Carl Sagan for the skeptic, Luke Timothy Johnson for the theist side. And let's have a look at this one. Jessica, this comes from Jessica via email. And Jessica asks, what has been your crowning achievement as a content creator? That's a hard one. I think for me, it's always going to be when you get those emails, you get those messages from people, you're on a call with someone and that person says, listening to this show or listening to you specifically, Richard, has really, really changed my life. It's really given me a better take, a better understanding on things, and I really, really appreciate that. I think that's my crowning achievement, the fact that I know, because people have let me know, that I've really had a lasting effect on the way they view things. And that's all I'm here to do. I'm not really here to argue with people. I just want to give people a way of viewing the world where they can really analyse it and really build that scaffolding and examine what they believe to the best ability that they can do. And I know I've done that because people have let me know very kindly that I've done that, and that, I think, is my crowning achievement more than anything else. So yeah, that's that one.